What's up, guys? It's Eric and Marcus from Rare Candy, and today we have the top four match that we recorded from the South Carolina States that we attended over the past weekend. And here we have our dear friend, Mr. Patrick Orgel, playing Greninja BREAK on the left, and Tristan Lackey playing Vespiquen Vileplume on the right there. So this is actually kind of an interesting matchup. I feel like on paper, the Vespiquen deck just kind of runs over Greninja,
Yeah.
but I haven't really. I've built Greninja, but I haven't tested against Vespiquen yet. So I was really curious to see how this was going to end up going.
And you have to think like attacking for weakness, cutting off their items turn one. Like you feel like Vileplume definitely has the edge.
Sure. I mean, luckily, there's nothing in this deck that spreads damage
Right.
because the Greninja player normally falls behind a couple prizes. That's just kind of how their games typically go.
Yeah.
So they can keep sacking a couple Froakies or, just a couple of these random low HP basics that they typically run while they get set up. But once they get maybe two Greninja on the board, they can easily kind of catch up.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, if there's anything the Greninja deck is good at, it's making crazy comebacks. Like, there's been a bunch of times when I've tested this deck and I'm just like, man, I'm getting destroyed.
Right.
But then I'm just like, you know what? I'm going to play it out. And out of nowhere, you can take all six prizes just within maybe two, three turns sometimes.
Yeah, yeah. I mean with a few Greninjas out in the breaks, you can do you can spread 120 damage or even 180 damage sometimes if you have enough of the Greninjas out maybe. So um yeah. Yeah, you can definitely make a big comeback with this. Um, yeah, the only thing I'd worry about is, not having my items to even be able to get set up,
Sure.
and then also being attacked for weakness. But
And
yeah,
here, unfortunately, Tristan had to discard his AZ and his double colorless energy.
yeah,
Both of those things are kind of precious
pretty much.
in this deck. Because one of the ways that players can beat this Vespiquen Vileplume deck is just by licensing their Vileplume and maybe either decking them out or spreading damage like Greninja can do.
Right.
So we'll see how this goes, especially with Greninja. Well, actually, I don't think Pat plays Lysander in his list, so Tristan actually won't have to worry about that now that I think about it.
Right.
And this is one of the first times I've seen this deck with the turn one Vileplume.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Tristan actually said this was one of the first times he whiffed it all day.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely crazy. I mean, I've only tested Vileplume a little bit, but you don't usually miss the turn one Vileplume in that deck. It's so
Yeah,
consistent. So I don't know if his what his build looks like, but um,
I mean, I feel like most of these Vespiquen Vileplume decks are maybe only like two cards different
yeah,
in most cases. Like some opt for those fringe supporters like Lysander and AZ.
right,
Some just play Sycamore. Some play Revitalizer, maybe.
yeah,
So there's maybe only, like I said, two or three cards different among these lists in most cases.
right,
But here, missing that item lock, you can see how Pat's,
yeah, just
doing. He's able to get this Jirachi on the board, a
yeah.
Remoraid, an extra Froakie, all this extra stuff.
And so he flips tails on the bubble, but I mean, seeing that Jirachi, I would, if I were Tristan, I'd just get kind of worried seeing that Jirachi there. So
Yeah,
I don't know if he plays Lysander, or if he does, I don't know if it's already in the discard or not, but I would definitely target that thing.
yeah. I really like Jirachi in this deck too, because one of the things this Greninja deck struggles with is definitely item lock decks.
Right. So it looks like we see a Wally into Octillery.
So that's cool.
Probably see him draw a couple with the artillery there.
Mm-hmm.
And
So just
another
going for a
bubble.
bubble. So that's kind of cool. And here, I'm not sure how many DCEs Tristan has left, but since he has Vileplume down, he can't play Floatstone, and also he discarded his AZ, so he won't be able to easily get this unknown out of the active.
Right.
So potentially, you could see Pat just set up a Greninja and snipe around this thing.
Yeah.
Because really, the only way it's going to get out of the active spot is if Pat knocks it out, or he retreats it with his only other DCE. So it's kind of a really awkward, uncomfortable situation here.
Yeah.
So I mean, if I'm Pat, I might just
Leave unknown active. Yeah.
yeah, I kind of like that.
So,
I know it's tempting just to knock it out and get a prize, but
right.
me personally, I rather them waste the DCE to retreat it, especially because you're playing Jirachi. You know, if they do manage to get it out of the active, guess what? Just bring up your Jirachi and start us the last of their DCEs that they have.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I like this, not attacking that unknown. I think that's a really good play.
Yeah.
And it sucks for Tristan because I see he has a Floatstone in his hand.
Oh man,
That's got to be so frustrating.
yeah. So we see the breaks, spread 30 on the bench, take a knockout.
Okay, so another water shuriken there. You know, Pat might run into a situation where he runs out of energy in his hand and he might have to start attacking.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, unless he's in that type of situation, or I mean, even if he is, I might just wait and try to top deck an energy or a fisherman or something.
Right.
Because really, honestly, I think Pat's in a good spot to win this. If I'm in his shoes, I actually want to make this a really long game, if possible.
Yeah. And so he gets that Silent Lab off the prizes and
Okay, and
throws it down, and then
so,
Tristan scoops, I guess. Or,
so that's smart of him. He kind of sees the writing on the wall at this point.
yeah, needs to conserve time for them to win 2 more games. So
Yeah. But man,
yeah, it's a shame that Unknown got stuck in the active position. If it was a Shaman, you could maybe, be fine with Sky returning, and then you'd still get to keep your DCE, but you don't really want to waste double colorless energy on retreating an Unknown.
especially when it's his only other DC
Yeah.
he would have had in his deck.
Right.
But so let's see if he can get that terminal item lock. 'Cause you have to think, if he does get the terminal item lock, unless Pat's opening hand is just godly or something, like it's hard to really come back from that, I think. So let's see. Hopefully Tristan can start with a Combi, ideally. So it starts with Oddish. So that's cool. Hopefully he can get a Floatstone down this game, though.
Yeah, and he does get to take a mulligan, so that'll help him out as well. You just showed him that he's starting Oddish or something.
Yeah. Also, just want to point out Pat's old school Hey Trainer mat.
Yeah. Yeah, that thing's...
Before Burbank was a thing, there was another place that had all of the worst Pokemon things you could possibly ever read
Right.
on the internet. It used to be Hey Trainer.
Yeah, yeah. So it's a nice old mat. Glad to see it's still around to this day.
Mm-hmm.
So now he's got 3 mulligans. So Tristan's probably excited about that.
God, yeah, that I've noticed that too when I was testing the Greninja deck. Like, it's one of the things that kind of deterred me from wanting to play it is the amount of mulligans it has. Because
Right.
you really don't have a whole lot of room for a lot of different Pokemon. You have a huge, like, thick Greninja line and maybe one or two other basic Pokemon.
Yeah. So Tristan does get to take, the four mulligans there.
Cool. So,
I remember them saying that they were like, we might have to do a judge ball here.
so Ultra Ball, get rid of Oddish and Vileplume. So let's see. Combi seems good because I believe he has a Vespiquen in his hand. Okay, so DCE, Gloom, and I think he's debating what he wants to do before he plays the Shaman. So he's just opting to get it. Oh god. So he has two other DCs in his hand right now. And I believe a Sycamore.
Yeah. Not really what you want to see.
Not at all. So, okay, so it gets rid of the unknown.
It's another battle compressor off of it, so.
It's going to Ultra Ball. Another Shaman seems good. Because I believe he does have Vileplume in his hand. He just needs to get a Float Stone or maybe an AZ.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and does he get it? I think he has another Ultra Ball though.
Yeah. So he's thinking about what to get rid of.
Because at this point, I think most of the stuff in his hand is somewhat precious.
Right.
Okay, Sycamore and a Forest. I think that's actually pretty okay.
Yeah, that's not too bad at all.
Okay.
Probably just debating because he thinks maybe he'll want to bump the stadium whenever
Sure.
he gets down to Silent Lab or something, but
I mean,
I don't think it's too big a deal.
I mean, after the first turn, though, really, what other abilities do you need on basics?
Right. He item locks himself without the float. Okay, he's got the AZ.
Yep.
So,
and he can still actually keep playing stuff. So we're gonna see a level ball, another Combi. That seems fine. So definitely a much better setup than he had going on the previous game.
for sure.
Trainer's Mail. Does he get a Float Stone? That's what he really, really wants.
Yeah. Takes a forest.
That's still not the worst thing ever, though. Just because I believe Pat plays 4 stadiums, so he will be able to bump whatever he puts down. And we just see a pass. But, I mean, honestly, that's still a good first turn for this Vespiquen Vileplume deck.
It's not bad at all.
So you see Pat just kind of... what's the word I'm looking for? Angrily bumping that stadium.
Yeah. Scoop.
So, yeah, I mean, so you can see what it's like for Greninja to play against, like, this item lock type of deck. So
it's not fun.
I mean, well, if you look at the first game, he got just one turn of items.
Yeah.
And look how big of a difference that made compared to this.
Right.
But I don't believe he had a draw supporter this time. I think the first game he had Sycamore, if I'm not mistaken. But yes, but luckily it is best of 3, so this will be the deciding game of the series.
Right.
But you kind of have to think Pat's going first, so he's going to have at least one turn of items, and that's a really good sign.
Yeah.
I mean, as long as he doesn't have like a god awful atrocious start, you'd have to think he can get a couple things down on the board. I mean, even if he just like level balls for a Jirachi and puts that on the bench, I think that's a great first turn. That's
yeah.
Like, what else do you really want?
Looks like Tristan's got a mulligan. Oh, he's got another.
Yeah.
Oh no!
Yeah, this game.
3 double colorless in his opening hand with an unknown start.
I was telling him, this is like a PTCGO hand right here.
Yeah.
Like, you just get those hands, you're just like, how does this game shuffle? Like, I would never shuffle this bad.
Right.
This is one of those hands, and you're just like, oh, okay. So this does happen in real life.
Yeah, unfortunately.
God.
So he gets the Wallian to Frogadier, which is kind of risky. He's risking being donked right now.
Yeah.
If he gets a Float Stone and a Combi and like...
It's definitely a ballsy move.
Yeah, two Pokemon in his discard pile, then Pat loses. So you see him smiling. He's just like, "Oh, can he do it?" So we'll see if Tristan can get that.
Well, he has Forest.
Get
That's
the
one piece of the puzzle.
Yeah.
And he only needs, what, like 3 Pokemon in the discard?
Right. So he's going to set up for 2, gets an Oddish.
So Trainer's Mail, and he has a Sycamore.
Mm-hmm.
With 3 double colorless energy.
In his hand.
He plays 4 in the whole deck. Nothing else. There's no basic grass in here. That is it.
Yeah.
So here...
Oh, he plays it.
It's the grossest thing.
Oh, no.
I would have preferred attaching one of those to Shaman.
Right.
And just conceding the fact that you're not going to get a knockout this turn.
Yeah.
I mean, it is still possible for him to win.
Yeah.
This turn. So it's kind of a risky play on Tristan's part, but he's kind of going all in here.
Mm-hmm. He needs to hit a Combi, a Vespiquen, a Floatstone, and a DCE.
Yeah. Luckily, he still has 2 Shamans or 3 Shamans left in the deck.
Something like that, yeah. So there's the Combi. We see a level ball, probably for an unknown, I think. There we go.
Yep.
So we can try and draw into those extra pieces that he needs.
Mm-hmm. So it's still possible. He's gone through a decent chunk of his deck. So Farewell Letter, Battle Compressor.
There we go. Definitely play that first.
So he's
Gloom.
Doing everything right as far as going, as far as what it takes to get this Vespiquen to attack this turn.
Yeah.
You can see, even in the video, Patrick's nerves there. His feet bouncing up and down a little bit.
Yeah.
He's like, man, I better not get dunked. Oh, and he hits Shamus. That's a really good card to get there.
Yeah.
Let's see. Vespiquen, Acrobike.
Let's see what he gets.
Ooh.
Double. He's got to drop that shame, but he gets a double colorless. I don't see a Floatstone, though.
Yeah.
I don't see another way to draw either.
Yeah. He might have to just... Yeah, and that's really unfortunate, too, because now he can't play Floatstone either. So he kind of has to hit that DCE that's in his deck.
Yeah, he's got the DCE left.
Or not the DCE, but the AZ, I'm sorry.
Yeah, the AZ.
So here... Now he can do a couple things. He could get greedy and just evolve into that Greninja, but probably the better thing is to water duplicates.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Ooh, only one.
Yeah, because he has 1 in his hand.
Oh, okay. And I guess the other's prized.
So that is definitely the right move, though.
Mm-hmm. We see 2 energy on this Frogadier, I guess.
So, well, what he can do is he can bounce the 1 energy back into his hand.
Right.
And here, okay, he's going to Wally into the break, I'm guessing. Which is good because he has a water in his hand and a fisherman, so he will be able to...
He's going to break the benched one. I would have maybe evolved the active into the break.
Well, I don't know if it makes a huge difference.
Yeah, it does have free retreat, so he can... I don't think he... Yeah, he did. They end up fixing this, but the active does have free retreat. Oh, no. He bounced it back into his hand. Sorry.
Yeah.
So he killed the unknown. I'd have maybe left the unknown there.
Yeah. Well, I don't know how much time is left.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I would imagine, though, that they would have a lot of time to finish this game.
Yeah.
I would almost just go for another long game, but... I mean, he knows that Tristan only has 1 DCE left.
Right. And then here's where he retreats and discards the energy, but it does have free retreat. One of the judges points that out.
Yeah. So here, knock out the Vespiquen. I mean, I hate to say it, but that's kind of game over.
Yeah. I don't really see what much else you can do here.
Yeah.
So he'll take the knockout on that Oddish.
I mean, you can see, what was that, just 1 or 2 turns he took half his prizes?
Yeah.
So, God, I mean, if you're Tristan, you have to be frustrated with this.
Oh, I know.
So he's playing one of the most consistent decks in the entire game right now,
Yeah.
and he's just his it's just not being consistent.
Right.
Well, he has consistently been drawing double colorless energies. You can't argue that, but
Yeah.
yeah. So unfortunate for Tristan, but so that's just how it goes sometimes.
Right.
But not to discredit Pat either. Like I said, you can see how this Greninja deck can kind of, once it gets set up, it can kind of just take all of its prizes within a couple
Yeah.
turns.
For sure.
Because between two different Greninjas, you can spread, you know, anywhere from usually 30 up to what 120 per turn or 180 per turn,
Right.
depending on how many you have in play. That's even before attacking. So
Yeah.
and the Vespiquen deck does run a lot of these low HP type of Pokemon like Vespiquen and even Shaman too. I mean, two of the Greninja breaks, Giant Water Shurikens knocks out a Shaman. So
Right.
so there's a lot of, I guess, easy cheap prizes for the Greninja player if it can get its Greninjas out in play.
Yeah.
But yeah, guys, so that is our top 4 match. Definitely check out the top 8 match that we upload as well. But be sure to stick around because we have the finals coming to you next, okay?